From the balmy shores of sunny Florida to the cold winds of Chicago and everywhere in between, you're watching the Red Wimette Show, live, coast to coast.
Hello, folks. Today is the 16th of June, 2025, and I am Red Wimette. We've got Scott H. here. How you doing, Scott? And we've got Tim Peroni here. I'm sorry. Tracy, how you doing? I know this is a story you haven't heard of. Okay. At any rate, folks, I had been having problems with, we're going back in time here, the big time machine. I wrote about this in my book. Nobody cares what I did about it. But what had happened was I was having problems with Curt Hansen. And they were serious problems. He was shooting at me on a regular basis. Looking back, I'm not sure what he would have done if he would have killed me, because most of the places were very public. I mean, they were behind Amercan Bonding over on State Street, where I used to park my car underneath the L, and it was right next door to police headquarters at the time, 11th and State. So there was people that if he would have killed me, they would have seen it from police officers going in and out. They used to actually cut through that area very often. But what had happened was I'd been ducking him. He threw me out of the business, whether the lease was in my name, the electricity was in my name, no matter what it was, telephones, whatever. So after he shot at me a couple times, I ducked. I disappeared. And I had a pager on me. It's just a regular pager that you wear on your hip, and digital pager. A lot of people probably don't understand. Younger people don't understand, but that pager was my lifeline for people to get to me. Curt didn't have the number, but somebody else did. So Curt kept trying to get a hold of me through other people, and he couldn't. So what he did was say, I would check in with different people. And when I did check in, they said he was looking for me. And it had been about 2 weeks now. And at that particular day, I was staying at Marina City, which is downtown Chicago. And for people that don't know, I'm going to try to be more descriptive than I was in my book. Actually, I was off in the book about the year of the car. But at that time, I was driving an Oldsmobile Jester 88. And I believe it was a 1964. I got it from a chop shop out on the south side, one that Jimmy Couture owned or was affiliated with. But I didn't have enough money for a car at that time. So the guy that gave it to me built it for somebody else. It was a real fast car. I like speed. I definitely drove fast. I was kind of crazy about that. But at any rate, I got the car from the guy, and I told him I'd pay him later on. And I was going into business, told him what I was going to do, opening a porn shop. And he said, okay. It was a mint green Jester, 1964 Jester 88 Oldsmobile. And it had a 389 engine in it. It was a lightweight car. It really was. It was lightweight because it used to drift a lot. But it had a 389 engine. And I don't know who made the transmission, but it was a 4-speed. It was on the floor. and it was fast. Believe me, it wasn't stock. This car was not stock. It was made for somebody else, and they never came to pick it up. And that's how I got it. So I called Amercan Bonding. Curt answered the phone, or somebody answered, and they put Curt on. And when I spoke to Curt, I said, "You're looking for me, right?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "Why don't we talk everything over?" And I said, "Nah, I don't like the way you're talking. You're talking with that pistol." And he said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And so I said, "Yeah, sure you know." And he said, "Look, no more crazy stuff." He said, "We'll settle this all today." And I was thinking about the movie The Godfather, because that came out in 72, and this was 74. And I remember Sonny in The Godfather saying, "Today I settle all the family business. We're going to settle this all today." And I was thinking about saying, "Yeah, you're going to kill me, right?" And I said, "No way." So I told him I agreed that I would pick him up at Amercan Bonding. He would cross the street. He told me, he said, "I will cross the street and I'll be on the right-hand side, the west-hand side of the street. And you could just pick me up and I'll get in your car. You have all the control." And so I said, "Okay, I'll be there about a half hour." And I left Marina City and I stopped and opened the trunk. I had a motorcycle helmet for my motorcycle riding days, and I had a motorcycle helmet in the trunk. And I pulled the helmet out, and I also grabbed my driving gloves, which I very seldom wore unless I was going to do some very serious driving. I mean, we're talking about high speed, and we're talking about cutting in and out of lanes, lane weaving that you folks had probably never done, not like I did. I mean, I was wild with it. So anyway, I'll tell you the rest of the story here. What happened was I pulled up, and as I was pulling over to the side on State Street, I had my gloves on already, my driving gloves, and I put on my helmet. Now, this would be an indication, if I was being picked up, that I would not get in the car with anybody that had a crash helmet on, because that's a sure sign that it's not going to be the kind of ride you want. And Curt got in. He was a fat man, so he got in, and he said, "Hey," he's jolly. You know, he was a jolly man too. Sometimes, most of the time he was. But he said, "Hey, you know, how you doing? How you feeling?" And I said, "Okay." And I put it to the floor. I had it in first gear, popped the clutch, put it to the floor, and started squealing my tires. Made a left-hand turn on 11th Street. We talk about Amercan Bonding being at 11th Estate. It wasn't right on the corner. On the corner was a restaurant called Mr. Pat's. It was back a ways. I would say maybe 3 storefronts. And when I made the left-hand turn, he was getting bounced around. He was leaning against the door. But eventually, I made another left-hand turn. You couldn't go straight. I wanted to go down to Lakeshore Drive, and you couldn't go straight. So there was a park there. And so I made a left-hand turn on Balboa Drive. And then I made a right-hand turn at the nearest intersection that I could to go towards the lake, Lakeshore Drive. Finally, I got to Lakeshore Drive. And I was doing maybe 55, 60 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone to get there. Curt was not in good shape. And as I made a left-hand turn to go down Lakeshore Drive, it's a steep angle on the south side going down towards Ohio. Ohio's a big intersection, major intersection. It was. I don't know what it is now, but it was. And it was wide, very wide, Ohio Street going through. So I remember looking down at the speedometer because I got in some clean traffic. It was cleaner. I was weaving in and out of cars. If it was a car in the left lane, right lane, didn't make any difference. If I had to take to the side of the road, I did. I was just going. I never got out of third gear, but then most of the time I didn't get out of that third gear until I was doing well over 115, 120 miles an hour. Then I would shift to fourth. But it was a fast car, and I knew it, and I knew how it handled. It handled very good. Handled better than a Corvette. It was a really nice handling car. But I was weaving in and out of traffic and everything. I looked down at the speedometer, and I realized that I was probably doing maybe 115 miles an hour on Lakeshore Drive going north. And I blew through the stoplight at Ohio Street, and I was doing well over 100 miles an hour. And I was weaving in and out of cars as I went through the stoplight. Curt was doing just what I wanted him to do. He was having an anxiety attack. And he finally crawled down underneath the dashboard and put himself in a ball. And he was a big man. He didn't fit underneath there very good. But he kept saying, "You're going to kill us. You're going to kill us. You're going to kill me. You're going to kill me." And I didn't pay any attention to him. I just kept driving. And I made the S turn. There was an S turn that I had to go through. And after I got finished going through the S turn, I still kept going north. And I was looking for a place to get off. And the best place to get off was Addison Avenue. Now, Addison Avenue in Lakeshore Drive, it had an exit that it almost went into a park that was, there was a mooring station there for boats on one side. There was a big telephone pole there. Not a telephone pole, totem pole, excuse me. And it was a landmark, easy to see. But I knew that inside there was a huge parking lot where a lot of drivers went to driver's school. They would go there to practice. And it was a kind of a good area. Not bad. So I pulled in. And after I got in there, I was still doing maybe 35, 40 miles an hour. And I cut the car to the left. And then I cut it to the right. I swung the wheel all the way around to the right. And I was going back and forth doing fishtails in there. But eventually, I went back to the left again. And I locked up the brakes. And we just slid sideways till the engine stopped. And it kind of gave a jerk on the clutch when the engine stopped. That was it. And Curt started screaming at me. He said, "What are you trying to do? Kill us?" And I said, "No, Curt, I'm not. I'm not trying to kill you." Here's what happened. I told him. I said, "How many times?" I was really angry. I said, "How many times have you tried to kill me? How many times have you threatened to kill me?" And he said, "Oh, I never did anything like that." I said, "You lying son of a..." I was really mad. I was very angry. So what I did was I told him, "You did this many, many times. I've never threatened you once, but today I will. From now on, if we have any problems, I will kill you." Curt got out of the car, and I started the engine up and drove away. Like I said, it was a big open area. I don't know how he got back, if he got a cab or he called somebody or whatever, but I didn't see Curt after that. It was that evening that I went to the Red Fox Inn on North Avenue, and I saw Marshall Cafano there. And I said, "Here's the keys. I quit. I'm out of this. I'm finished." But that's my ride from hell, and that was Curt's ride from hell. I don't think he ever forgot that. I'm really sure he did. It was something really bad. That car was something else. It was a fast car. Very, very, I loved it. I don't know what happened to it. I really don't. But it was in an old beat up junkyard where the engine had been replaced. I think it was a 389 in there. And actually, it was Jimmy Catura's junkyard. If it wasn't his, it was affiliated with him in one way or another. But that's my story from the ride from hell. So there we go. Lonnie, how you doing? Smoke that button for Big Red Nano. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Lonnie. Chainweaver, you'll never guess who's late again. You're consistently late. I don't care. I really don't. I don't put you on a time schedule. People ask me when I sleep or when I, that sort of thing. I don't. I sleep when I'm tired and I eat when I'm hungry. That's the way it is. And if you can live that way, Chainweaver, glad. I'm happy you do. Scott, you don't remember from my book why Curt was trying to kill me? Curt took over the store. We hadn't opened yet. Actually, we had opened. That was Labor Day weekend. And he told me to get out. And the reason why he told me to get out was we had some gay people that were trafficking back and forth from the Glory Hole, which was on the left of the street, if I'm looking out towards the street, and the right was the Bijou. And these people would go back and forth, back and forth. Well, the holiday weekend was there, and it was Labor Day weekend. I only made $13 from Friday till Monday morning. That was it. So I told Curt we should go with the gay crowd and put gay material in the store. And Curt made the statement. He said, some of my brother must have rubbed off on you. And that's when we had the fight. He told me, get out of here. You don't belong here anymore. And I left. And I said a lot of things, but I wasn't, I was on the way out. I wasn't standing there to argue with him. And after that, he wanted the keys. I had keys to everything. And he wanted the combination to the safe. So that's your answer, Scott. Scott H. I guess when he couldn't get the things he wanted, he got frustrated. You know something? It's been a while since I see it. I looked at it too, Scott, and I wanted to look at it to see if there were any references, and I did. It's that part is only like a page or a page and a half, and you know what I noticed? I had the wrong year on the car. The car was not a 1974. The car was a 1964. So I forgot to. Hey there, Red. I hope you're having a good day today. Chris. I am, Chris. Thank you. Ryan Brown, 31 years ago, tomorrow, O.J. Simpson's white Bronco chased a Curt in California. I remember that. I watched it on TV. It was something else. There is I think he's a New Yorker, a New York guy that has a channel here on YouTube. And as I was watching it over the holiday weekend, it was Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all you guys that are fathers. And as I was watching, I ran across several different channels. And this one guy, he does crime. He does organized crime. And I think he just reads things. He sounds like he's very much younger by the crowd's comments that they make on his videos. He does quite well. I mean, he does. I don't do any kind of videos like he does. I mean, as far as monetization wise or amount of views. I mean, the people I saw on his channel, he had like 300 and some odd thousand people that viewed that channel, and it aired over the weekend. So I'd say that was a real, and he's got more subscribers than I do. I just don't have that many subscribers, but it is what it is. And I saw that it was an AI message. It sounded like from England, British accent. And I listened to it. And basically, it was about the Salvo brothers and crime in Chicago. And it was about the part that I took notice of was about Tony Spilaccio putting this guy's vice in the head, which didn't happen that way at all. It was. I corrected in the comments. I looked at the comments and I said, no, I might as well throw a correction in here. And so I did. I threw a couple of corrections in there. This guy is pretty intelligent, evidently. I went and looked at his channel. If you want to look at anybody's channel, all you have to do is click on their logo. And it will bring you up to the channel. You can see when it was made. And this one was not made until like 2024. It hasn't been out that long. But there's a lot of New York things in there. It talks about the Colombo family, the Gambino family, the Genovese family. A lot of New York stuff in there. So it was what it was. But at any rate, I made a couple comments. He was talking about it being in the 70s and 1974. He was off on his dates. And he was talking about Tony. He said that Phil Aldericio, Milwaukee Phil, was the one that ordered this stuff, and Tony just did it. He wasn't there, and actually it was Phil that was there, and Phil that held the vice. Tony just held the legs of the individual. But at any rate, I corrected him on a few things. And I put in the comments, I knew them at that time. I mean, it's not because I read it in some book or someplace else. Surprisingly enough, earlier today, when I went on the internet here, really polite, the guy asked me how and what my experience was. And I told him. Somebody else asked me if Chicago ever did business with New York. And I gave them an answer, honest, fair answer. I told them, yes, some people did. I don't know what they do now because there is no outfit anymore. I mean, you want to call it an outfit, you can call it anything you want. But there's nobody that has a boss that tells them what to do or what they can and can't do. It's not that way anymore. Hi, Tracy. Your fur baby nephew, he's right down here. Frank Ferraro. So whatever happened to the mayor that I said was going to jail? I don't know. They put more charges on her. She hasn't gone yet. But you're talking about Tiffany Henyard. And I'm watching her closely. She's no longer the mayor, and she's no longer on the board of trustees in that township, which is Dalton, I believe. I forget the name of the township, though. At any rate, she's no longer there. Yes, that is a real criminal. And I would like to say, Frank, that most of our politicians are criminals in one way or another. They don't follow the laws. Duke or dog? You want to say hi to Duke? Okay, buddy. Come on, Duke. Come on. That's right, big guy. Come here, baby. Come here. Oh. This is my Duke. You don't know how to look at a camera, do you? You know how to look at me. That's about it. Did you wag your tail? Huh? Hey, big guy, do you wag your tail? Duke has a mind of his own, but I think I can distract him. No, I can't. Deborah Day, how you doing? Good to see you. Tim Peroni, I don't agree with you. Most, no. Every politician that I've ever seen, heard about, has always, in one way or another, they're corrupt. You never heard the story about anybody that steals a pen, did you, Tim? If somebody gives you something to sign something and you take the pen, you stole it. And believe me, everybody that I've ever met my entire life has dirt underneath their fingernails. If you look closely, you'll find it. You may have to dig deeper on some people because it may not be at the top, but it's there. We all have dirt. I do. Everybody does. To say it most, not even. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, dear. Deborah Day. I'm glad you conceded, Tim. Yes. Yeah, I guess everybody. I mean, you've never lied to anybody, have you, Tim? And you've never stolen anything, have you? Never kept anything that didn't belong to you, did you? Never made any mistakes. All rhetorical questions, okay? Ryan Brown. Red, I listened to the audio wiretap with Jimmy Iandino. I didn't think anybody could sound so nice when threatening. I'll break every bone. Actually, there was an F-bomb in there on the one I heard when it really happened. But he said, believe me, I will break every bone in your body. I actually heard a live tap on Jimmy Iandino. He was a vicious collector. I mean, this was in the 70s, and he was just on his way up. I think he was like 28, 29 years old. He had another guy with him, and they were working over somebody. And the FBI had him on a wiretap. When I listened to that, I mean, I heard a lot. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. The guy was getting punched bad, beat up, and it was bad. And yes, he said, I believe he said, believe me, I'll break every bone in your body. Yeah, but he didn't have to talk. A lot of those guys, they didn't have to, because they had a reputation. So they didn't have to really scream at them because they knew they were going to do what they said they were. That's like the wiretap with Joey Lombardo, where he talks to Morris Shanker down in St. Louis. And he said, I'm talking on behalf of Alan Ackerman. Alan's kind of meek. And he said, but we aren't. We do a lot of things for less. And he said, how old are you? 70 what? Well, if you want to live another year, this is what you're going to do. He never screamed at him. There's no sense in screaming at him. He got his point across. And people knew him and knew his reputation. When he said we do things for a lot less, that's what he meant. And in Jimmy Iandino's life, believe me, you were lucky if you got a warning that was verbal. Yes, I never met him, but I saw him. And he was another wild man, Butch Petroselli, or Butchie Petroselli. Butch, we called him. But he was another wild man. Those are the kind of people you stay clear from. You stay healthy and you stay clear from. And Frank Farrell at the end, he says in a calm voice, okay, goodbye. Yeah, that's it. It's just business, man. Their business was breaking legs and beating people up, making them hurt. And they did. Yeah, he made it to age 80. But let me tell you something, Scott H. Along the way, he went to prison a few times. And he didn't have, his life wasn't that glamorous. It really wasn't. I spoke to somebody Saturday night, I spoke to a man that I went to high school with, or I knew him from high school days. And he lives in Cicero, but he's been all over the world. Been in different countries. He's moved around quite a bit. As a matter of fact, when in 1964, when we used to hang around together quite a bit, and we went on a trip together, and it was to St. Louis Arch. They were building the arch there, and he couldn't believe that he hadn't heard or seen me since 1964. He didn't even remember what happened to me. And I told him, I said, I went in the Marine Corps, and you went to work with Evel Knievel. And he said, I built every one of his motorcycles. And George is 76 now. He's my age, maybe 77. But we went back through a little bit in life. His voice is not as clear as it used to be. Mine's a little bit clearer. I compared myself to him. I think George compared himself to me during the conversation. He was kind of shocked to hear from me. But it was that way. Michael Mannequin is convicted. Yes, he was convicted. And he was sentenced to in my opinion, it was a death sentence. He's never going to make it out at his age. And he asked for mercy and at his sentencing. And I agree with the judge 1,000%. He said, you showed no remorse during the trial. You didn't come up here and plead guilty. You showed no remorse. And you even took the stand and you lied and perjured yourself. And now you're saying, I want mercy. My wife is sick. She has cancer. I have this wrong. I have that wrong. What about the millions of dollars that you're going to pay me back? You're going to pay the people of the state of Illinois back. Did Hansen know about your plunge with your Pontiac into Lake Michigan before he took his ride? That was afterwards. Curt did not try and bother me after. That was Big Bob, his buddy. No, that was afterwards, Jim. So he didn't know. Brian Brown, the video of Joey Lombardo in the store conversing with the lady. Yeah, she didn't know who he was. That was a Super 8 camera. And it was done in real film, and they were a little bit popular then, but they were expensive. Not many people did that, and it was an extra length of film too, because most film you couldn't get more than 15 minutes out of it. But maybe that's all it is 15 minutes. But instead of Joe turning around and grabbing the camera or looking mean or anything, he just waves hi and ducks and moves around and plays cat and mouse until he's had enough, and then he leaves. Smiles at the camera when he leaves. He doesn't want a scene. That's the way he was. That is a classic film, and I remember him that way. That's how I remember him. Yes, Big Mo, it was cool. That's the way I remember the man, though. It was when I saw him at Family Secrets, it was in 2007. He looked terrible. I mean, he really did. His skin was all wrinkled. He looked like a Shar-Pei dog, the way his skin was wrinkled. He'd had a heart attack. He had a stent put in. The suit he was wearing, I was told, was a very expensive suit. I think he spent $8,000 on that suit, but it was hanging on him because he was all skin and bone, and I didn't even recognize him. So, but in that film, that's the way I remember him. I remember laughing, and all those people did bad things. You can't really say that they didn't, but by the time they became senior citizens, other people came up and they did bad things. And the bosses they told people, I want this taken care of. I want that taken care of. And believe me, they were using their ingenuity or whatever to make an impression on the boss. That's what everybody did over the years. But Joey is the kind of guy that would say, hey, calm down. Now, he had his vicious moments, but I never saw him. Jim Magnifici, 7.5 years for Madigan. Not enough. What about the tremendous electric rates we citizens pay? Hello. I mean, I left that all behind me. I probably pay 1/3 of what you pay. I left all of Illinois behind me, period. I mean, when I was reading that and I was listening to the judge, I was saying to myself, why would anybody want to stay in Chicago? I mean, convenience? Yeah, it's all convenient. But almost everything is gone. What's made there? What's good there? If you stay in your condo or your apartment or something, that's okay. That's the way it was. Tim Peroni, who was the smartest alpha guy you ever knew? Smartest. I don't know, Tim. I have to say the most clever was, I would say, going down the list of Tony Spilaccio, everybody. I would say Joey Lombardo or Jimmy Kozo. He was innovative and very clever. He was very good. Ryan Brown, didn't Dr. Pat Spilaccio treat an infected tooth in Joey's mouth while he was on the run? Yes, he did. Did Dr. Pat know Joey had a hand in Tony and Michael's murder? He didn't have a hand in it. At the time, he was in prison, and there was nothing he could do one way or the other. And that's exactly what he told Dr. Pat. He told him, he said, when he went to talk to him, he said, what happened? I mean, did you give the okay on this? And what he told him, from what I understood, was, no, I didn't give the okay because I wasn't in a position to okay anything. Nobody ever asked me. They just went and did it. And he went back for several things. It was an infected tooth, but it was also a, what do you call that thing? Root canal. So he had to go back and work on it several times. And when he did, eventually he was like in a tired of hearing it mode. And when Dr. Pat asked him about it, he said, hey, when they send for you, if you don't go, somebody else will come and get you. So it's best. I just didn't make any waves. And that got under Pat's skin because he thought that he should have stood up for Tony no matter what, in prison or not. I will give you my, yeah, Big Mo, you're right. You're absolutely right. It wouldn't matter. When Ayupa said he wanted him gone, that was it. I mean, he couldn't out-Trump Ayupa even. They were both in prison. And he was trying not to make any waves. He was doing a 10 spot, 10 years. Joey Lombardo. Ayupa went for life. I mean, they let him out to die, but that was about it. But that's the way it was. And it's strange, but it was sad. I truly believe, and I will probably die with this thing in my mind, that if Joey would have been out of prison, Tony would have never been murdered. Never. Some of the people there, or that were involved, would have been a little bit concerned about locking horns with Joey. And Joey and Tony were like that. They were very close. Very, very, they're just as close as brothers. They stole together when they were kids, when they were teenagers. They were together all that period in their life. And that's the way it was. But it didn't happen that way. This is history. And what do they say? The victors write history. The people that win, they write it. The people that lose, they don't see it that way. Ryan Brown. Yes, that's the old cliche. I think a Youp only said that like one time. I mean, Lombardo said it several times. You say it very casual, like that guy. He'd whack a ham sandwich. Just very casual. I think I heard several people say that. One of them was they were all people that hung around Joey Lombardo, Jimmy Cozo, and his son Philly Cozo. He said the same thing too. I think what you heard Joey said, it was kind of like that's the way it was. Those were rough times, rough days, and they were wild times. But that was the ride from hell, and it was fast and it was furious. I think it was over like in maybe 18 minutes from 11th Street all the way to Addison Avenue on the north side of Chicago. That was pretty far. Ryan Brown, thank you, Red. You answered my question. I was just going to ask you if Joey would have fought the same. Yeah, he would have. I don't think he'd have had to fight. I mean, those guys weren't in a position. These old men, they're not going to go into a boxing ring. But they had people that, worked for them. They were loyal to them. That's what it was all about. Joey looked very tall in the family supper picture. That's a photograph angle because he wasn't that tall. He only came up to about here on me. Tim. Jim Manfici, Red, what do I think of the protests around the country? I've been talking to several people about that. And since you asked, Jim, I will tell you my opinion. And this is my opinion. I don't like the protests. I remember when we had protests, and they were protests. They weren't chanting, screaming. They weren't cussing people out. They weren't spitting on people. They weren't unruly protests. Because if they were, you get your ass kicked. We had the kind of cops in those days that were like the National Guard at Kent State. They would kill you. They didn't care. They'll deal with the consequences later. That's the way it is. So what do I think of them? The one in California, I looked at and said, 4 days, 5 days, a demonstration. And then I saw several people sent me things, and I saw that there was an ad on Craigslist for professional protesters. They didn't say professional protesters. They said $200 a day. And this guy actually went on somebody's podcast and talked about it. And I listened to him. And he said, I called, I found out what it was about, and it was about King's Day and demonstration. And it said, we may have you in New York, we may have you here, we may have you there, and a lot of different places. What I think about them, it's insane, Jim. It's really insane. But then again, why do people run from the cops? Because they can. Back in the day, I would never run from a cop. And not just out of respect, out of I didn't want a bullet in my back. But they know today, oh, they can't shoot you in the back. They can't even shoot you at all. So you can say anything you want to say, do anything you want to do, break windows, do whatever you want. What are they going to do? I don't know. Misdemeanor. It's not going to affect your life in any way. I think it's ridiculous. That's what I think, Jim. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Yes, they are a bunch of whiners that can't accept reality. You're right on it. They want to make a statement, but they don't know how to. Yes, downtown LA is a war zone. I like what our governor said here in Florida. I liked what the sheriff of Brevard County said best. He said, if you throw a stone at one of our, or a rock or anything at one of our officers, he said, you're going to the hospital. And if you injure him, it's called open season. We're going to count how many bullets they take out of you. And it's been like that in a lot of our counties in this state are like that. But I like it this way. Yes, we do have freedom of speech. You just got to watch what you say and how you say it. You can't go cussing anybody up and I have a right to do this. I have a right to do that. Scott, did you see what your sheriff said? Yes, you love him, and you know why? Because he's the kind of guy that will he will do what he has to do. I like him too. But then I like my own sheriff. I like all the sheriffs in this state because they work at the people's request. They do what they want us to. Tim, where you live, you can have just about anything. You're still an Illinois guy. Yes, we have law and order. It was hard for me to live in a Democratic state like Illinois in 1988, so I left. I've never been back. People ask me, John Drummond asked me, do you think about coming back to Chicago? No. I'll come back and visit. That's about it. You have to have a reason to go there. I like the law and order we have here. Goff 3602. The clowns canceled their fake protests in Florida. I noticed they filed. I wanted to see where they were going to protest, and the dots were all, even my city. They planned on having a protest here in Panama City Beach, and all those dots were all over the state of Florida. I think there was 80 of them, wasn't there? And when I looked to see what happened, not one protest. I don't call those protests either. I really don't. Mo, I can understand. Your mother's the only reason. I have to have a reason to go back there. And I don't blame you. There's nothing there. I mean, what's there? Chaos, confusion? Is there some special business there? I've learned to do without anything that came from Chicago. Thank you, Mo. God bless you too. And happy Father's Day, guy. Late. But I didn't talk to you on Father's Day, so that's what it is. Ryan Brown. Red, did you see the video of the guy at the airport who threatened Mike Chitwood because he's called his kids out for threatening violence in school? No, I really didn't watch it. I don't get involved in those things. Those are usually reels, and it is what it is. You're most welcome, Mo. You're most welcome. You're always welcome. I like to see you in here. Chicago is not what it used to be, but the rest of the country is not what it used to be. I'm watching. I have friends, internet friends that I see here on Facebook, or I see them on this channel, and when I talk to them about where they live, It's crazy. I mean, I'm looking at Oklahoma now, and Oklahoma is it went red, but when I talk to the people that live there, they're not really Republican attitude as much as they are libertarians. And libertarians believe that everybody has the right to have a gun. I don't believe that. They believe some things that they're fundamentals that I just don't believe in. Okay, Ryan Brown. He tried to use the Bible to justify his threats. You talk about the guy that threatened Chitwood. People do crazy things on here. These high emotional things are stupid. Sometimes I think they just do them for show or shock value. I don't know. I don't do them for shock value. I do them for education purposes, maybe entertainment purposes. But things I know about, I will speak about. And that's the way it is. So anyway, folks, okay, Tim's got something to say. You get murdered today for being a lawmaker. Jim Magnifici, we had a double whammy in our town with LBGT furries. I didn't know they were all LBGT running around, plus the No King shit, and our little community of 15,000 people. Yeah, that's a lot for a small town name. Where are you at, Jim? That's a lot. It really is. I know I watched the furry convention that was at McCormick Place, and there were couples there that were into the furries. They were younger. You know, I'm not into that sort of thing, but I can understand why some people could be. It's an outlet for them. I mean, they don't smoke anymore. Oh, you're in Dixon. You know, that was a real nice town years and years ago. And the only thing that they had there was the mental hospital. And then they took the mental hospital out and put the prison in. And I think it all went to hell. That's what I think. It was kind of a laid back town like Peoria or Piatone or one of those places. Yes, that's what a lot of people don't know. It was the hometown of Ronald Reagan. A lot of people don't even know he was from Illinois. A lot of people don't know anything about things that happened in Illinois or famous people that came from there. It was very popular in our day. Now, people don't care. They really don't. And I don't know where I live here. I love it. We don't have any demonstrations at all. We don't have Martin Luther King parades where people get upset. If they have a parade, I don't know about it. But it's not on the news. Nobody breaks anything. Nobody does anything. As far as LBGT, they used to, many years ago, I don't know, they used to have a gay pride parade, but I never saw it. It never went through the main streets downtown. It just didn't. And am I happier that way? Yeah, I am. I don't need to see that stuff. It's one of those things where I know it occurs, I know it happens, but it's not affecting my life. And that's the way I look at things. I don't want to affect my life. But anyway, I want to thank every one of you for stopping by. They converted the 5,000 residents special needs institution into a medium security in 1984. That's what I found out. That's what I found out. But it was special needs, and I knew somebody that was in there Their daughter was there. And I'm trying to remember her name right now. Her last name was Hip. And her mother's name was Yvetta. I don't remember her name. But she was born a preemie baby. And she was like, I don't know, 3 pounds. And she didn't have a palate in her mouth. And there were all kinds of things wrong with her. She needed like 90 surgeries just to survive. And as a baby. And then as she grew up, she was mentally challenged. And a lot of things were wrong with her. But I don't think it was a very good thing to do. Thank you, Christina Morris. And you have a great day for the rest of your day, dear. Deborah Day. I live in a sanctuary city. It sucks. I'm leaving. Deborah, are you brave? Can you tell me what city? Approximately. Is it a major city? Or is it a small one? I know why you're leaving. Same reason I left a long time ago. I said, this is enough of this. I'm not doing it anymore. I found paradise. Why would I stay in a place that's not comfortable? Got to be stupid. No, you don't have to be stupid. You have to be stuck. I mean, I could see somebody stuck there because of family, somebody that's ill, or some other good reason. But generally speaking, I can't. So, folks, it has been great seeing you. And I hope you enjoyed the story about the ride from hell. And I enjoyed talking to each and every one of you. So, for now, until we actually get together, if it's Wednesday, I'll be with Adam Flowers on my vlog channel. And if not, I will probably see you next Monday at the 4 o'clock live. So thank you. God bless you. And peace. Redwood Matt out.
The combination of the videotapes and Ouimet's testimony resulted in the conviction of 2 men on extortion charges. One of them was Frank Schweiz, known in syndicate circles as the German, a feared mob terrorist and a suspect in a number of gangland murders.
He was described to me by other outfit individuals as the most feared hitman. And as he said to me, my reputation precedes me, son.